how these application or knowledge can be applied on the semen analysis. I have a little knowledge on semen analysis, which I have learned from Professor Anders Jainesen, and even the paper which Jitin referred, Fernando Pena, he was also there at that time. Fernando Pena is continuously working on flow cytometry. So whatever the little knowledge I have on this flow cytometry, how to use in semen analysis, that I will be explaining to you. And I have a video also. I will demonstrate some 4 or 5 assays, how we are doing in the real time. And then I have recorded one video where with mistakes, what are the common mistakes that we are bound to do at the time of flow cytometry analysis, and how to control that. So that's what we are going to see into this. So getting into the flow cytometry directly for semen, I think there will be some missing link. So first and foremost question comes, why it has to be used in the flow cytometry analysis. So for the benefit of the students as well as the teacher and as well as the participants, I will take some 5 minutes to explain that. Why? This is actually a branded slide of me. Always I used to have this particular slide. If you see the top, that says this particular graph is borrowed from WHO, and it clearly says the primary infertility and secondary infertility in case of human being is increasing day by day, and has reached to such an extent that the secondary infertility is 5 times more than the primary infertility. Secondary infertility means a person who already have a viable child, trying to get a child, but they are not able to get within the next 5 years after the birth of the first child. So what happens to that? Why that couple are not able to produce the second child, which is viable and which is good? So that concerns you a lot. And for that, several studies have been conducted. And ultimately, they end up with a classification, the infertility, how it causes. There is, as I told during my initial remarks when we started this program, there are 4 causes. One is male. And male and female contributes almost equally, 30%. And God only knows there is unexplained causes of infertility, 30%. And combined all these things. So the data is very clear in human being. That's how I have taken the example of human being. So, and the beauty of these infertility incidences and occurrences, if you see, there is a couple living together, having unprotected intercourse for a period of a year, and still if they are not having, then they are infertile couple. That is declared as an infertile couple. And once they want to have a child normally, what happens? You see, 50% of the conception occurs during the first cycle itself. And the remaining 35% couple get conceived within 6 or 12 months. And after that, 15% still remains. They keep on trying, but they're not able to get. And they are the real infertile couple and results in the infertility. And why I'm telling this is, if you see the causes of the infertility, forget about the diagram which I have shown here. I'm talking about the male partner in the infertile couple. So it says sterility is 12%. Untreatable subfertility. First, we have to identify it is a subfertility, and then only we can classify into treatable or untreatable. So untreatable subfertility is 70%. Treatable is 18%. But to understand and to differentiate these two, we have to have a good semen analysis first. So coming to our field, this I will talk about dairy animals only. So here also infertility is increasing, especially during the last 30-40 years. It is increasing. Everybody knows why it is increasing. Another thing is a big debate that we will not get into that. But infertility is increasing. You consider, I have given, although it is in human being, it is said female and male contributes equally. One female, one male partner. But here, the situation is totally different. If you see one cow, if she do not conceive for one particular cycle, and if she produces, assume she produces 10 liters of milk a day, the loss the farmer is incurring is around ₹10,000, roughly. If you see the same way, if one bull used for breeding, and because of him, if the females are not conceiving for one cycle, what happens? Normally, we expect that 50,000 frozen semen doses can be produced from a bull in a year, normally. And I take only 50%. Almost we know that only 40% animal conceive, 60% do not conceive. But I take upper margin, that is 50%. So if you take only 25,000 animals, they have not conceived for one cycle because of this fellow, because of the fertility problem associated with this particular bull, then how many days we are losing is 5,25,000 days, and it amounts to almost 250 million INR. So here, when we talk about the fertility and infertility, male and female, they do not contribute equally. Rather, the male has a lot of potential to play to improve the fertility as well as to devastate his system. So that's how identification of a fertile male or good male with good fertility is very much important. But on the other hand, if you see, there has been a lot of improvement in fertility improvement in case of females. There are a lot of development of protocols, synchronization protocol, induction protocol, many protocols. So fertility enhancement measures are quite high in case of females, but on the other hand, the improving bull fertility has largely been improved. That is the ground reality as of now when we talk about the male fertility in case of livestock. Coming to India, this is as a general I talked about. Coming to India, we know very well that as of now, we have around 51 semen stations certified, and they have around 4,158 bulls. If we go with the normal semen production ability of your bulls, this includes everything, cattle, buffalo, crossbred, indigenous, or bull. If we go with the standard this thing, then anticipated FST production, frozen semen dose production, keeping the margin of 20%, all these things, if we calculate, we have to produce almost around 160 million doses per year. But as of now, we produce 115 million. So almost there is a gap. Why this gap? It is because of the reason, that is poor cryotolerance or high ejaculate rejection rate. These rejection rates are based on the initial semen evaluation. And we assume that this semen is not going to cryopreserve successfully and throw it. This is one. Second thing is they are being cryopreserved, and because post-thaw recovery was not up to the mark, they are being thrown out. So that's how this much dose is left out still. On the other hand, we are inseminating the animals. Hardly the AAI coverage is 30%, and the conception rate is only 30 to 35%. And here comes the question, yes, the male fertility is very much important.